We are going live now. This is just a testing for that. In case you are able to hear me, just confirm it on the chat window. We will be starting in a minute. We are going live now. Chat window. Good morning, everyone. I am so good morning, everyone. I hope you are joining from different locations of the throughout the world. So good morning, good afternoon, good evening, based on the location you are joining. Those who are joining from various cities, they can type in their cities so we know from which city you are joining. And also we will continue this series, prepare for DP700. So I am assuming most of you who are joining us are preparing for DP600 or 700, and yes, quite a few of you are joining for PL300 also. Now for PL300 we did have a series on Saturday, and you should be able to watch it. In case it doesn't have a link for that, I can share that. Also, you can take advantage of my video, which is a 20-hour long video, to prepare for that. Now, as you are preparing for this, you would definitely would like to apply for voucher, and I'm hopeful each one of you who are joining this series has already applied for the voucher. Those who have not applied and new to this series, please use this link, register now, which I'm sharing, and if you go down on this page, you will get link for DP600, DP700 / PL300. Now, thing which you have to remember that this page is basically talking about two categories. Either you can apply for DP600 or 700. You can give one of the exam with 100% free voucher, or you can apply for PL300, and there is one more exam, Azure exam, which you can give. So that those two exams you can get 50%. But yes, you can apply in both the categories. Means you can apply for 50% voucher for PL300 and 100% voucher for DP600 or 700. If you are preparing for both exam, then you can apply for both of them. And the reason why I asked the question minutes back, are you trying for both of them, like PL300 and DP600 / 700? The reason for that is that you can apply for both. Now I also pasted the link of the video which can tell you how to apply. I have explained the steps there. You can go ahead and check this out. Now those who are also looking to attend PL300, let me give you additional link. So, and those who are also looking for PL300 should type PL300 into the chat window, so we know that yes, there are people who are going to do double certification. So PL300 guys, this is for you. You're preparing for PL300. This is one of the video from my side, and I definitely will post the series which you have done on Saturday also. And I think I'll also ask help from moderators on that. And also let me post with you a few more things. And I am running a challenge also which can help you test it out your 300 skills or your Power BI skill. And some of you were asking what are the kind of problems we should be solving out for any given exam. So this can give you a very practical experience of kind of transformation. Typically don't have sometimes these kind of transformation if the data is coming from a ERP, which is pretty flat and structured data. But yes, sometimes we do get data from Excel sheets or from various sources where it is not structured. So I try to replicate that into the Excel sheet which is provided in this challenge. So it is a good example. It's not only a good example for those who are preparing for PL300, it's also a good example for those who are preparing for DP600 and 700 to try it out on various technology. Like if you are preparing for DP600 and 700, try the same thing to have the transformation running on say Power Query, which is basically Dataflow Gen 2 there. Then try to bring in the data and try to do transformation on PySpark? Can you do part of these transformation on SQL? In this manner, you can try the similar stuff on different technologies and test it out that are you comfortably able to work with all these. How about 20-hour video? I have just given the link above. Yes, 20-hour video will help with all the basic concept if you are especially preparing for PL300. And what I am going to do in WhatsApp group and in the chat window, I'll do tag few people who have specifically created videos around the questions of PL300, because the last week of preparation should be preparing for such questions. So what we do is we prepare really hard to achieve those concepts or learn those concepts, but at the end we need some practice tests. So practice tests do come from Microsoft. Like this is one example, DP600 example I am giving. Same way you are going to get on PL300 page for PL300, and for DP700 page you will get DP700. But there are users who have given very specific videos on these, explaining those concepts, how to answer particular questions. So those kind of videos are also available, and let me share you some videos on those, especially on DP600 and 700. For DP700 you can take advantage of these videos, and these are once you are ready for exam, and exam is a week away. And I think some of you were asking me on DM and WhatsApp. I'm assuming those people who are doing that, they are live right now and they can take advantage of these videos. So preparation is join this series, apply for vouchers, look at the older series from my channel, prepare really well for that, and then go ahead and find it. And Microsoft do have one complete path for it. So DP700 path, which is given in DP700 exam, you must complete that to complete your knowledge base. And then when you are ready, when you see okay my exam is a week away, then you should go ahead and start looking at these exam specific video or Q&A specific video, where you start now preparing in Q&A mode. Before that, do a lot of study on concept, prepare it. We have given you logins, and just go ahead, make sure that you are taking the full advantage of those logins and preparing hard. So now we will move forward with today's agenda, and today we are going to learn about SQL DB. Now SQL DB was almost launched a year back, same time when we had the summit last year, around this time, the past summit, and now it's completing almost 1 year now. Fabric has completed 2 years. SQL DB completed 1 year of its launch. Now, why did SQL DB launched? What is this SQL DB? Some of you might have understood with the name, okay? And please type in the chat window in case you have used SQL DB till now, or SQL Server Database, or use Azure SQL. Have you ever consumed that in your organization or for your practice? So do let me know into the chat window of YouTube, and those who are on WhatsApp and planning to watch later, so when you watch it and you are on the WhatsApp group, you can share your comments on the WhatsApp group and can let us know, did you use the SQL DB. Now the SQL DB is basically a transactional database, OLTP. Like it's very good for insert, update and delete, or CURD operations. Now when we deal with OLTP, online transaction processing, we deal with thousands of transactions or millions of transactions in a given period of time, let's say 1 minute or 1 hour. Now such things are, while can have a very fast insertion, but update and deletes are really not fast when we talk about OLAP, online analytical processing, which is typically our warehouse or lakehouse. So now to make sure that Fabric user don't go out of the Fabric ecosystem if they need to develop some kind of AI apps, we have few things. One of the thing is SQL DB. SQL database in Microsoft Fabric is developed as a friendly transactional database. Built on Azure SQL database engine. So it's using the same engine, and you will find everything which work on Azure SQL. Most of the things are working here. Specifically designed to integrate seamlessly with Microsoft Fabrics. How does it integrate? We'll explain. It serves home for OLTP workloads within Fabric and provide capabilities for both operational and analytical use case. Now operational you understood because it's operational database, it's OLTP database, it has fast CURD operations, create, update, read, etc. So definitely it is fast, but how does it support the analytical use case? So for that, what it does, it immediately replicates the data into data format, and that is where we have SQL analytical endpoint for SQL database. Now you would have understood why we have a SQL analytics endpoint for Lakehouse, because Lakehouse is primarily Spark driven. You can talk with Spark SQL but not with T-SQL. But here we have a T-SQL based engine, and we still have T-SQL based analytical endpoint. The reason for that is that analytical endpoint is a replication of data in data format, so that you can easily club up with your other data which is also in the same format and create combined warehouses, lake houses, or create shortcut in lake houses and use it for OLAP purpose. Okay, so Varun D is saying he's using a SQL database or SQL analytics endpoint on daily basis. That's great. Yes, and I think those who are using SQL analytics endpoint, they love SQL too much, and then they find it really easy. And that is why we have warehouse still there existing in Microsoft Fabric ecosystem. While most of the people will talk about lake houses, they talk about Spark driven engines, but SQL is so easy to manage that we cannot leave that technology behind. So we have a T-SQL read endpoint for lake houses, we have a read write system which is warehouse, and now we have a transactional database also available. Now in the entire ecosystem you will see we have SQL database make its place in the Microsoft Fabric ecosystem of workloads, and it is the transactional database or it's a transactional system which you can use. Now I did have done a video on translytical flows which Microsoft has introduced some time back, which allows you to have a write back capabilities inside Power BI using the user defined function. Now when I talk about user defined function, there are user defined functions in Fabric, there are user defined function in DEX, and I have videos again for both. Definitely the for the Fabric user defined function, I had a video which is covering the write back, and DEX user defining which covering how to use that. You can take the full advantage of those videos and learn about more about that, and how do you do the write back from Power BI. That is again one good thing, you should be trying it out. Now that may not come as part of your DP600 and 700 being a recent feature, but it is a good thing to explore. And if someone of you have already explored the write back from Power BI to SQL DB and warehouse, and I especially wanted to know those who have done with warehouse, please type it into the chat window, and those who are watching later should share their experience in WhatsApp group. So let me know if you have used it on SQL DB and warehouse. I know Lakehouse it would be difficult to write, but yes, I would like to know who was using it on warehouse and SQL DB. Now, how do you choose which workload to go? Now, I did talk about Lakehouse, I did talk about warehouse, I am talking today about SQL DB. Now, there are so many choices. How do I choose? What is fit for purpose? How do I decide what is fit for purpose? Isn't it? There are too many choices in Fabric for us. So now for that, we have a matrix which is basically we decide based on what we are planning to do. So we can say, okay, we are a low code developers, okay, but which technology we want to use? We want to use Spark or T-SQL. If you say I want to use Spark, I'm a Spark developer, I love Spark, I can manage the entire data engineering with Spark, then Lakehouse is your choice. If you say no, I learn T-SQL, then warehouse is your choice. Now in the T-SQL, it's a transactional workload, then if it's a transactional workload, then SQL DB. If it is a warehouse workload, means warehouse. Multi table transactions, multi-table transaction, it's more suitable for warehouse and SQL DB, not for Lakehouse. What kind of data you are analyzing again going to have? Are you analyzing structured and unstructured data or only structured data? Only structured means warehouse and SQL DB. Combination of both or you don't know, then you have to use Lakehouse. Now again the classification comes based on technology, but OLAP and OLTP, which I explained you on the last page. If you are doing OLTP means transactional workload, then SQL DB. OLAP workload means warehouse. Similarly, if it is a structured data, again the split is between OLTP and OLAP, SQL DB versus warehouse. Now do let me know in case you are using SQL DB or write back into the chat window. I would definitely like to see. And if you want to explore that and if you want to share the URL why we are doing this session, do let me know. I can share the URL with you. Okay, so we'll start our journey by sharing you how to work on the database. And what I need to do, I think it's too small today because I think yesterday I was working on this and I need to change the display setting a little bit. Let me do that. I'm hopeful the window is going to look much bigger now, or means the fonts are much bigger now. I'm assuming that. Fine. So journey of SQL DB. How to start? Again, you have to take a Fabric workspace, and now today you will see that I don't have a free trial left out. So it's a test for me also. The only good thing is that I have a pro license still with me. I only have one pro license which I'm using for this particular account. So how the users which is with having no pro with having a pro license and not having a Fabric trial are going to work, we are going to experience that today. So I'll go to the workspaces, and this is the workspace which is actually started on a capacity which is not owned by me, it is by some other user, and that still have the trial phase. And I wanted to see, can I use that capacity as a pro user or as a free user? Now free user you have to test. Definitely I am not using that login, free user login as of now, which is doesn't even have the pro license, but having access to a workspace which is having Fabric capacity. So with the Fabric capacity, with no Fabric trial available, I'm trying out to create a new item from my laptop, and the new item I would like to create is SQL DB or SQL DB, and I'll go to the store data for that, and here we have SQL database under preview, and I'm going to click on that. 2 minutes back I've created that. There is a limitation how much you can create on a trial. I did have faced that in the past. The name I kept, but I'm going to modify it a little bit. SQL 01, I'm going to keep it, and I'll click on create. So my new SQL database instance will be kicked off, and I will get a SQL DB, fully featured SQL DB. Yeah, Nagaraj, I did have change the screen resolution a little bit so that I don't have to scroll a little more on the screen. But yes, if the font is too small, I did increase font little bit so that everybody can see. I'm hopeful the font is good enough for everybody to see what's happening here. Now we are here on the SQL DB, and definitely we would like to test now. Does primary key work? Identity column works? Is it very similar to what we were using in SQL Server? First of all, when you look at new query, there is no down arrow key. It means SQL queries have to be written here. Notebooks are not yet supported. Now second, so home page, we have settings. In this setting, now special thing which you are going to see, when you go to the connections, this connection string, look at the database name. Whether you are looking for ADO.NET, JDBC, ODBC, you will find the database name is not same as SQL DB01. And the reason for that is the SQL DB is started on a different port than all your other SQL analytics endpoints. Now SQL DB is acting like a transactional data. SQL analytics endpoint is acting like for you as a database which is warehouse for you, or it is the analytics endpoint which is replication, and there you will use this alias, and it is accessible using the same link which you are using for any lakehouse or warehouse in this workspace. So when you use this URL, you will not see, and this do have a port here. I think the port here, yeah, you see a different port and with different name. So when you use this, you will not be able to see the replicated warehouse with this URL. But when you use any other lakehouse or warehouse, you will be able to see that. And that is the alias which is being given to analytics endpoint, not to the SQL database. So this is the one difference which you will observe. When you connect, you have to take the string. Okay, don't trust that, okay, I have previously connected with my warehouse, it should show there. Even if it is showing there, it is showing the analytical endpoint, not the SQL database, the transactional database. And you will not be able to use the transactional statement which you are going to use here. Yes, you can use warehouse for write back for translytical task flows, and for that what you have to do is you have to use one small trick. You have to use fully qualified name. Okay, and I think I'll share the video with you for that. What do I mean by fully qualified name if you are doing the write back? So this is the question which came on the chat window. Let's address it quickly, and let me share that video with you. In this one, you can jump directly to the part where I am using the warehouse, and you can find out how to use it with warehouse. Just one small change should do. Rest remains same. So how do we write back? Now we have this SQL DB, but all entities it has created. So let's duplicate this tab, and we would also like to understand, are there multiple entities that are created into the workspace. Let's look at our workspace, and in the workspace you will find there are two entities that are created here. One is SQL database itself, and second is SQL analytics endpoint. Now I'm going to open this SQL analytics endpoint also. It should be looking very similar, but it should have little more things than what you think. Okay, so you will start seeing the difference. First of all, the first screen doesn't have load data here. Look here in the SQL database, you can load the data, but here there is no load data because it's replicated. Can't insert data from SQL analytics endpoint. The read only. Now it do replicate all the schemas and whatever you have, and if you try to connect here, let's go to the settings, and when you try to see the SQL analytics endpoint, is same one what you are using in your other warehouse and lakehouses, and name of the database is SQL-D. So this is the one which is. Now what we are going to do is we are going to create something here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the code which I've used at that day with little difference. Let me see the GitHub code. If I have a separate code for that, or I can use the same one. So as you know, I have this GitHub Microsoft Fabric Bootcamp where I have given you the script which I am using. I even loaded the KQL script there. I just wanted to see, do I have special commands for SQL DB there. I don't see especially for this one, so I'm going to continue use the T-SQL one with some modification. So let me bring in this code, and now I'll start the new query. And new query I'm starting on SQL database, not SQL Analytics endpoint. Always focus on this right top, okay? Which one I'm using and where I'm showcasing the replication of data. That's going to be critical. Yes, that's true. That's true, Shashi, Paul. That yes, the analytical endpoint will not allow you to write back or write onto that one, but yes, SQL database will allow. So here we will use this customer ID, and then I definitely don't want to use anchor as of now, so I'm going to change. But what I would like here is I would like to have a identity column here. So primary key, not null, identity. 1,1. Erring on that, but let's try that out. Okay, now it has got corrected. I just change it and let's run it. Can it create a table with that? And do we need everything not null? We can remove some of that. Okay, 1,1. We should increment at least by 1. Start with 1, increment with 1. So we are able to create a primary key as well as identity column, and this is not possible in your SQL warehouse. Only possible in SQL DB to have that. We are able to create identity as well as primary key, enforced primary key, because we do have a primary key in warehouse, but that is not enforced. I would like to insert the data, and while inserting the data, I definitely would not like to insert now the identity column. So I'm going to modify the insert script little and remove my, so let me start a new SQL here, and then here I don't want these, isn't it? So we don't want to insert, we are going to get different IDs, but we don't need these. And I'm going to share a separate script with you for that, so that you can practice here. So we'll remove these and let's try to insert. Now there is no customer ID, so I'm going to remove it. So I'm not inserting the primary key column here. I'm leaving it for identity column. Now I can go ahead and query this table and check it out. So I can see this table here, select 1000 rows. In SQL database, I'm able to see this. How many rows? 12 rows. So I'm able to create the primary key. I'm able to insert using the identity column, which I have created in them. Definitely I can do update and delete also, but before we do that, let's go ahead and look at it. Is it available in the SQL Analytics endpoint? Because the replication is really important, isn't it? And sometime, for the very first time, it may take little time. I can see the table here. Do I see the data? Let's look at it. Okay, I can see the data here. Now, I have got a data which is there in SQL DB, and that data get replicated in SQL Analytics endpoint. Please remember, the SQL Analytics endpoint which you are seeing right now is a replicated data. It is not the same data. It is in the delta format. How do I access database from other application? There is a question here. You have to use, if you want to use SQL database, you have been given this, options. How do you connect? Go to the settings, and in setting how you want to connect. ADO.NET, JDBC, ODBC, PHP, Go, you have been given a code which you're supposed to use. And you can simply use this URL and the port number to connect with, let's say, SQL Server Management Studio. So this URL is there, port is there, and the database name is there. You can use connect with SQL Server Management Studio. I do think there is a place where we have this. So open in Visual Studio Code and SQL Server Management Studio. So SQL Server Management is exactly what you have to do is available here along with the database name. Okay. So SQL Server Management Studio, you have been given option. Now, if you want to see what is happening with the replication, you can come to this replication tab in SQL Database. Again, right top is really important because we keep on jumping around the screens. Monitor replication, and it will show you this. There is one table, 12 rows replicated there. So replication is working. There is some challenge, it should appear here, and we should be able to take care of those. Now, what happens when I update something? Okay, will is going to work. So let's do that. Update dim customer that segment. Let's change the segment equals to retail. For which customers? For which it is already enterprise. Where customer ID in, let's change it for a couple of customers. So 3 and 5 are right now enterprise customers. If you look at number 3 enterprise, number 5 enterprise, I'm going to change them to retail, and we have not shown in, so I'm just writing down in statement here 3, 5, and let's update these two customers. Update happened in SQL Database. Can I run this update here? I know it's already going to be happened, but let's try. We are developers, we need to try. You can't run it here. Where you can't run? SQL Analytics Endpoint, right top again, where we are running it. Okay, but we have already done the update onto the SQL Database endpoint. So let's query, is it happening? Does it happen? Yes, it became enterprise. It's not yet become retail here, 3 and 5. But let's look, has it changed here? So they are all retail here, but you can see the difference. It is still not retail here. So it does take some time, a little time to catch up. But yes, it did happen. Few seconds delay would always be there. Any questions you have, please type it into the chat window. I see some question here. I'm hopeful I answered the question. If you want to access from other application, we have the settings here for various tools, like you can use these connection strings. Now, can we open the same in SQL DB like our on-premise SSMS, and can we use our SQL warehouse connection string? Now, if you use your SQL warehouse connection string, which is there common for this workspace for all the warehouses, lakehouses, you are going to access SQL analytical endpoint, with which you can query, but you will not be able to read and write. You have to understand, SQL DB or SQL database have that in transactional format. It is very similar format what you have in Azure SQL, or the same format. It is optimized for insert, update and delete, but it get replicated in SQL Analytics endpoint. From here to here, the tab changes the SQL Analytics endpoint, the replicated data where you cannot do any write back. You can only do the write back on the SQL database endpoint. SQL Analytics endpoint is a read only endpoint which is basically in Parquet format, which is read optimized. It is not write optimized, it is read optimized. It is more for the purpose of warehousing. Now the question might arise, I need few more things to be done on this warehouse, I want to enhance this and use it. Then use it in other warehouses or lake houses. In other lake house you can create shortcut and then further enhance this by taking it to a data frame and take it to the next level, or on the warehouse you can use again T-SQL, taking it by using the you should be able to, within same workspace, you should be able to see the fully qualified name of the T-SQL analytics endpoint, and the fully qualified name is test-SQL1. This is the same name you have given to the database. Fully qualified name here would be little different for the SQL DB. There is a question from Sukhdev, how to user from two tenants work regardless of access to tenant A and tenant B as external user. So if you want to work cross tenant, first of all there are tenant settings which are available inside admin portal, those need to be enabled. So let's say I am using this BI world and you want to give me the access to work with using the BI world login. You have to first enable the tenant setting to allow me as external user to access various items, and there is a granular level control, and each day that granularity is increasing. Second is you have to add me to Azure as external user. Okay, so in the Azure Active Directory I should be available as external user. After that I should be given permissions to access certain workspaces or databases or lake houses, and then only I will be able to access that. The process, one of you are asking process of joining Fabric community, and I'm assuming this is in relationship, how do we apply? So go to this community.powerbi.com. or even the URL which we have given for the voucher, and join it with, register for it or sign in. You have the logins, and once you register there you should be able to apply for the voucher. So once you are inside the community, then you can use that our voucher link, and just for your reference I can give it back. And even in the voucher link you will reach to the community, so it is not that voucher link is outside the community. You should be able to join the community using that, and then you should be able to apply voucher. And if you are talking about joining the WhatsApp group, not the community, then I can give you the WhatsApp group URL, the one which we have created as part of this learning exercise. If you are looking for that, let me share that also with you. In case you want to join the WhatsApp. Fine. So hopefully these questions are clear now. Now we know that we are able to create a SQL database, we are able to replicate it. Now let me try that, can I bring in some data using, let's say, pipeline or Dataflow Gen to directly to the SQL DB, not to the warehouse or lakehouse. So let's go to the workspace and click on new and see, can copy job do that job? Copy job. A copy job. So some of you might have, I have copy job, I have mirroring, I have copy activity in pipeline, I have Dataflow Gen 2. What should I use? So let's say mirroring is available. You can use mirroring. You don't have to manage it. Only thing which you should be little aware while doing mirroring is basically, if it is hitting every now and then, it may have a cost of copying the data or keeping your database up and running, the source from where it is doing the mirroring, and that might have a cost. So if you are up and live 24/7 and you want smaller workloads to go every now and then, the mirroring is the best choice. A copy job is very similar. It do have that CDC component with it, and It can help you in bringing one or multiple tables at a different at an interval also, means you can, not that I run it like, every now and then like mirroring. I can run it periodically to bring in the batch data in the incremental fashion, and I can use copy job. So second choice is copy job. Third is copy data activity. Pipelines are faster, meant for the copy data, so copy data. Copy job inside the data pipeline is out. Followed by, we have choices in Dataflow Gen 2 and PySpark. Now, if their PySpark connector or Spark connector or Python connector is really strong, you can use that to bring in the data, as long as you have connectivity with PySpark or Python. And the Dataflow Gen 2, now most of us has to use Dataflow Gen 2 somewhere or other place, because maximum number of connectors are available. 200 plus connector, low code, no code format is only available with Dataflow Gen 2. Rest are catching up. So Dataflow Gen 2 would be ultimate choice for something which we don't have connector available, and our choice in case we bring and transform it at that time, then we use Dataflow Gen 2. But yes, it is not meant for only copy job. It has more to do with it. So simply we are looking for copy or copy job, then we can use pipeline or copy job. So I'm creating my copy job activity, and let's look at what all things it needed, what all sources it supports. Okay, so I can bring in using data using SQL Server on-premise here. I can bring using Dataverse, SharePoint online list, Azure SQL, folders means local, OADB. More, if I click on more, it will show me the complete list. And let me look at OneLake. This is OneLake catalog. Let me look at Azure. Hold on. Let's go back to the home. View more. I need to click on top. This is now, this UI always confused me. This is for OneLake catalog, and this is for the complete comprehensive list. And I can see the copy job has improved, and now you have support for SAP BW, SAP table, SAP DataSphere, SAP BW, SAP table, so and ServiceNow. That's really important. Google Cloud Storage, GCP, Dynamics CRM, Dynamics AX, Azure, Dynamics 365, Microsoft Access, MongoDB Atlas, MariaDB, Informix, Greenplum, FTP, SFTP. So many sources are supported now. Now let me see if I can work with one of these. Let me see. HTTP. Okay. I do have a Azure SQL database, but just for everybody's reference, I will continue with this. But if you have access to SQL Server or Azure SQL, you should use that. And the reason for that is you will be able to see how to define incremental strategies. And I did have explained that in my SQL database window when this database came in. That is going to give you a lot of flexibility when you bring the data, because I'm using a non-SQL source, then I may not get that all flexibility of incremental ETL, but we'll go ahead and check it out. Does it support incremental on files? So from where I'll usually get it from my GitHub account, and in my GitHub account I'll usually use this file. I go down and I have this SQL data used in Fabric. I click on that, raw, right click on the raw, copy link address, place where I right click, and I copy this, I paste this. Now it's asking for a new connection, so let me give it source git for SQL DB. No gateway is required, anonymous authentication should work. privacy level, I should keep organization most of the time, but here it is not needed. Created a new connection. I should be able to share this connection with some of you. Choose data. We'll keep it as is. Means you can, and why it's binary copy. So sometimes, let's say, assume you're working with lakehouses. You're bringing some files from another place, let's say, and you don't want to do any operation. You don't want to change them. You say after they come to warehouse, they are not, let's say, in a format which, let's say, CSV or Excel, or you need to do some work before you can actually put them into a structured format. You can use binary copy. With binary copy, you can bring the file fast as is in the same format what it was. That's where you use binary copy. Now you have to stay on this page a little bit before it detects your file type. I would wait there here unless it find out that it is in Excel and I have multiple such sheets in it, because it's definitely not delimited text. Let's see, now it detected it, and I can change it to Excel and compression type and the sheet name which I wanted to load, or I can give an index, and if I click with the name it's not able to find, I can refresh it, or otherwise if I remember the name I can give it. So I think one of the name is sales if I remember correctly. Let's see. So use first row as header you can do, and then click on preview data. So always do this preview data, because if, let's say, if you given some name you are not sure if it is not working, at least you will be able to. Okay. The little UI issue which I am facing right now. Okay. So what I done is zoom in, zoom out. So we are going to load this sheet. Click on next. Where do I want it? My destination is definitely going to be SQL database. And we need to be very careful. I clicked on this new item. I don't want this new item. I want the existing one. I'll go to this one lake catalog below or one lake catalog on the top. And I'm really not sure why the first option is always a new one. First section should be existing one. So we are going to use this existing one. And here you can see full copy and incremental copy. This is the first time you're getting this option. Now only if you are using a SQL database or a DB, you will get this incremental copy option. Press on next. What is the name I want to give? And if you want to edit the column mapping, you can go ahead and do that. It's really important. And sometimes if you are not very comfortable changing it here, I can understand this. This is not a a place where I would be really comfortable changing everything. So I can do it little later. Now order number could be varchar, but this is, let's say, a big int. Today's date is a date. Date time 2. Delivery date is again date time 2. Customer city is big int. And I did a face problem in the past when I changed the data type, and sometime it did not get inserted. So if you feel that there is some data type it's not taking, it's always good idea to keep it something which. Now price is something which is actually double or float, decimal. You can take float, probably decimal or double could have been better. Cost is again float. Discount percentage is again float. Okay, next, and here run once, run on schedule, start data transfer immediately. I usually don't prefer it, but if you're pretty sure your configuration is correct, you can use it, but I typically don't use it. The reason for that is I'll click here save. Once it add the activity, I'll go to the destination and I will check it out, everything is correct, my mappings are correct. So I click on this edit mapping and do check out everything is correct before I go ahead. See, Copying column says they must have data truncation. Fine, I am fine with those warning apply. So I verified everything. Now I can run it. Now this is very similar to your copy job, but this is copy activity in your pipeline, but copy job is a little different. So I'm starting the copy job, bringing in the data. So you can see all the data has been copied. Successfully. So let's go back to our SQL DB and check out. We have a sales table, select 1000 rows, we have the data here, and now what we would like to do is we would like to see, is this data available for SQL Analytics endpoint. So from here itself on the right top I'll go, it's not showing that option here, clicking. So let's do one thing, we can close the copy job and go to SQL Analytics endpoint from here, refresh, and this is SQL Analytics endpoint. I can see the sales table, and let me okay, I did have the data available now. The data got copied, got replicated, but definitely you should try copy job with databases. You will get those incremental options. You can also watch out my video on the channel how to use some of those options. You will get that primary key option, you will get the date option, you will get append, upsert, and upsert option is something which you will go get only on SQL DB. You might not get that into warehouse. If your destination in a copy job, the warehouse or a lakehouse, you might not get an upsert option. You'll get that upsert option in SQL DB because it's a transactional database. So go ahead and play around. I did like those options when upsert has been provided me based on the primary key and date. I'm really happy to see those options, and sometimes that could be your choice because you get an upsert option. But billing wise, you should be careful because SQL DB on demand. It is not like Azure SQL where you can commit to unless we get an option there, or unless we get an option to have a separate capacity, or in future we may have little better tighter integration available for our SQL databases or Azure SQL. Definitely replication and all those things are available for those, so we can take the advantage of. Now we got this data for my SQL database. I would definitely like to bring one more table so that I can create my Power BI report. I only have one table and definitely it doesn't join with the dim customer which I have. So here also I have a get data option, Dataflow Gen 2 new pipeline, and this is something which we have not tried for some time. So now let's try the new pipeline and SQL DB pipeline 1. We did try Dataflow Gen 2 in the last class. This time I decided to use that. For SQL DB I decided to use pipeline. Which one I'm going to use? I'm copy job by default is going to create. Again my source is HTTP. And let me see, do I still have the URL? Yes, I do have. It picked up the same connection. Look at this. Picked up the same connection for second time. I don't have to give all the details second time. And if somebody shares with me, I should also be able to get it. Somebody was asking if I'm using the API. I think API you have to see how does it takes, but most of the time for REST APIs, say we are using Java connection string, it should work. But do look for the connection string in the setting. and I clicking on next, just it should allow me have one more table, and this time I'm going to bring item. So again Excel sheet, and use first row as header. I don't remember the index, so I'll just go to type the sheet name as item. Again few data so that I'm not struggling later on that I have not selected something which is correct. Let's move to the next step. Destination. Now this is something I was expecting it to do automatically. SQL DB01. Load to existing table, new table. I want a new table here. Item. Now this is copy activity, not copy job. Okay, so you will see the similar kind of stuff here. Now the mapping. Now this mapping again you have to change everything. And let me tell you now. The next, I'll press next here. I don't start it. I'll click on OK. So I just done the setup. Now here when you see this copy activity, you can go to the mapping. Here you might find it easier to change. So like brand name is nothing but 𝗪𝗲𝗀. You can use 𝗪𝗪𝗀 if you are a SQL database person. You might do that. But I just wanted to keep the data types which are pretty generic to anything we are doing in Fabric. Okay, so done with the changes. Now in the copy data activity, you have to save it. Pipeline is not only for copy data activity. Pipeline, I can call multiple activities. I can go here and you can see so many activities I can call. And now even I can call the other copy job activity which I have. See here you can see copy job. I can add that other copy job which I have created. It means if I need to reload the data, I can do that. Okay. First of all, I need to create a connection. Doesn't I have to go and bring it. Okay. So I can call that. I can call Dataflow Gen 2. I can call data pipeline. I have parameters, pipeline parameter which I can pass. They can accept that. All those things I can do. But right now I want to run this as a standalone. So what is the ideal way? Ideal way is irrespective of whatever you have created, whether you created Dataflow Gen 2, you created notebooks, you created copy job, you should combine all the required stuff in one pipeline and then you should schedule that. And that one pipeline should contain your one module or one process. Let's say sales. I want to run sales pipeline. All the dimensions should get collected. All the facts should get collected. I will not say, okay, I schedule it at 5 a.m. and assume it takes 30 minutes to complete. Then the second activity will start at 5:30 and the third activity will start at 5:45. No, we are not going to schedule those individual data flows, notebooks, unless they are meant for the purpose. They are doing the full job from copying the data till the final destination. If they are doing everything, then I'm going to use that. But if they are not doing, I will club up everything in the pipeline. And pipeline is also meant for orchestration, means it can give you the complete ecosystem from end to end, bringing data and finally putting it into our lakehouse or warehouse, and even refreshing semantic model if required. So we should do that. Now you have Apache Airflow. Some of you can explore that. So this copy job is ready, and we know why pipeline is meant for the purpose of orchestration. Now I did have discussed with you. If you have some doubt, please ask it into that window. Queued right now. You can look at output sometime. Input in process now. And it is completed successfully. You can look at how much data was written and everything. Check the input. Now we have copied our one more table. Let's go back and look at our SQL DB. Where is our SQL DB? This is test01 SQL. When SQL is written, it means it's SQL DB. Now, if you look at the icon here of test01, you will see only the warehouse icon. It doesn't have a SQL. So the database icon shows that. Now refresh this. Item is available here. Query the 1000 rows. You can see all the 55 rows are here. Now it should appear in SQL Analytics endpoint because the semantic model is going to happen on SQL Analytics endpoint. It is not going to happen at SQL DB. So if you look at the SQL DB UI, there is nowhere you see option for semantic model, and monitoring replication is there, using which you can monitor how the tables got populated. Some of them are running. It means they are checking if some new data is there and data. But if you go to SQL Analytics endpoint, right top again, you see this option for new semantic model. It means I can directly create reports here. Data came in, data got replicated, and it become in a format for which now Power BI doesn't require a copy. Now SQL database, if you want to use, you go to the traditional way. You go to the Power BI, you connect using the SQL database connector or Azure SQL database connector, bring in the data into the import mode and work it. It is not like import mode or direct query mode which you have to use. But if you want to work with the replicated data, the SQL Analytics endpoint, you can just work without copying the data in direct lake mode. So direct lake mode is available with replicated SQL Analytics endpoint, not with directly with the SQL database. SQL database is just similar to Azure SQL. It is still external to the ecosystem. External to the ecosystem means Power BI is not going to run direct lake mode on that. I can select my dim item and dim say on fact says. Once I select, I can give it as a name SQL DB 01-SM or -SM -01, confirm. It's going to create a semantic model. I can create relationship. This will work as direct query in Power BI. Yes, SQL database as well as SQL Analytics endpoint can work as direct query in your Power BI. Both can work, but yes, if you definitely want to work as a direct query, if you love that, then you can use the SQL DB also. So we have it here, and how do we do every time? Item ID equals to item ID, create the relationship, save the relationship, many to one, many sales, item is on one side, and then you can bring in date table, other dimensions, operation is not allowed, data types. Okay, now this has come little trouble, item ID. Okay, so item ID here become the text and item ID here become this one. Now this is created a little bit of trouble for us, so we have to fix it before we can join it, but definitely we can try out. Let me do one thing. Can I play around here? This is what you don't have in data lake. You can't change the data type. What we have to do here is go here to the item table, to drop the item table and bring it again using the pipeline. And inside the pipeline, you have to correct the data type as begin, and then you have to save it and run it again. While it is running, we will continue our journey tomorrow. Also, I'm going to share you the link of what we are going to discuss tomorrow. So let me share the link while it is loading the data again, and we'll refresh and check how quickly it can bring us the new table. So tomorrow we are going to work on Spark notebooks, and we are going to do transformation using PySpark. Again, the file would be available in the at the same place, and if it's not available, I'm going to load it now. We do talk a lot about the Spark, okay, and definitely Spark is the futuristic engine which we wanted to use. So can we do the entire transformation? Can we run our ETL in PySpark? Can we left join, right join, all those which we have learned in SQL, can we do that in PySpark? That's what we are going to do. In tomorrow's class, we are going to do how to do ETL in PySpark. So that's tomorrow's class. Back to today's class, the table has been loaded. Let's select 1000 rows. It seems like numeric now. Now I definitely need to wait for replication. I do see the replication happening here. Data is not there, but let's go to the semantic model. How now this in semantic model, how do I get this data type change? So I have to go to this edit table. I may or may not want to push this refresh, but I have to confirm. Sometime in case it doesn't detect, you have to just go and click on refresh this so that it fetches your all new columns and change data types, and then click on confirm. And if you have created your data model from Power BI desktop, only refresh metadata. Let's see, does it change the data type? It does. Now think about if we would have done that in a bigger data model. The relationship is created. I can see one more question there. I'm going to answer it after creating this report. So file, create new reports. Reports will be created in direct lake mode only with SQL Analytics endpoint, not with the SQL database endpoint. Brand and sum of quantity. These are our favorite ones. So this is what we wanted to do for today, and now we are going to take Q&A. So we have a report and we can save it. Some of you are practicing, can do that. I did saw a question, and I think I'm not sure, somebody has deleted that. The question was around, can I apply for both the certificates? When you say both, it means two categories. Category 1 is PL300 and the Azure certification, which you get 50%. That's the first thing you can apply. Second is DP600 versus 700. That's the another category. But you can't apply for both DP600 and 700. You can do only one. So what should I do as an individual? Should I do DP600 and 700? Now, if I'm new to data analytics, not new to Fabric, if I'm new to data analytics, means I was a Power BI developer and coming to Fabric world or data engineering world where I'm still learning PySpark, I'm learning, let's say I was a Tableau developer and I'm learning PySpark or SQL, etc. Then I should go for DP600. And if I am already on Fabric, or I was in data engineering, I was using Databricks a lot, or I was, Azure developer, used notebooks, used SQL, Synapse, I was on Synapse. If you are there in Synapse, then you can go directly for DP700, the entrance exam. Now there is a question, is SQL OLTP and OLAP? Now we have to understand SQL is meant for a different purpose. It's for real-time analytics, and it is for the real-time analytics purpose because there the way data commits, it's altogether different from how it behaves, because it could be a JSON data which we are working with, and it is good at dealing with that. It could be really unstructured. You can call it as a real-time data store than OLTP or OLAP. The frequency falls in OLTP or beyond OLTP, definitely it's not an OLAP. Okay, any more questions? Anybody having any doubt on certification, where to apply? And please remember, the date is 5th December, before which you have to apply. You can take exam till 31st December. You have to apply before 5th December, you have to schedule it before 15th December, and you have to successfully complete exam by 31st December 2025. So in case anything which you need me to explain further, I would be happy to do that. And those who are looking for 2 certification, do watch our series on. And now I think I did miss out giving you the link for the Bharat series which has happened on Saturday, and might like to have that with you so that you can practice for Power BI. So let me give you link for one of those, and you should be able to find everything on the channel. So this was for DP300, other than my 20-hour video. This was for PL300. So PL300, this was the series which we have done 6 hour, more than 6 hour, because we did exceeded our time for few sessions. So around 6 hour of content is there which you can use. So I'm sharing you all the links one by one here, what we have done, and now they are all pre-recorded because the sessions are over. So session 2, session 3, session 4, session 5, session 6. I have taken the session 5 DEX fundamental, and Bharat did have tell how to appear the mock exam and everything. So please go ahead and take the full advantage of that series. Or you want to have little more concepts, you can cover in my series. And one of the best video for beginners especially is this. But if you are little advanced, want to do a lot more stuff than that, then you can explore selective videos from this. So this is all PL300 content. I already shared some of the links of DP700 content above, so do take advantage. I'll also add them to description here, so that when you are watching the recording, you don't have to go ahead and search for it onto the replay. I'll add them, all of them, to the description. So thanks everyone for joining today's session and staying long in the morning session, and some of it could be late evening, some of them it is early morning for some of you. I know people do join from UK, which is kind of midnight. Thanks everybody who's making it, and I'm hopeful that we'll continue this journey for next 4 days, and I'm hopeful for every one of you will get a DP700 certification. They will get the voucher and get DP600 and 700 certification. If you do need more help, Microsoft MVPs are doing different series, and they are also available on their LinkedIn. You can connect with them. You can find more details on the same page which I shared above. Do stay connected with me on LinkedIn or on the WhatsApp group. And if you need more information from my side, do reach out to me. Happy to share any kind of information if I can do that. Thank you. We are going to wrap up for today's session. I'm going to close the broadcast now.